During Minecraft Live 2021, the developers announced that a mob known as the Warden would be added to Minecraft soon in the future. The Warden lurked in a cave biome we called the Deep Dark, filled with odd blocks that nobody had seen prior. Although teased in Minecraft Live, when 1.17 released, the Warden wasn't. And it wasn't until 1.19 when it would finally appear in Minecraft. Before the full release of 1.19, the Warden and Deep Dark had been added to snapshots, and every player rushed to their devices to check out the new blocks, loot, and even items. Players were amazed with the eeriness of the biome and the new structure called Ancient Cities, but one thing stuck out to lots of players. In the center of Ancient Cities lay a construct. Not much was to be found here other than a huge rectangle of special reinforced deep slate blocks. Players found this rectangle odd as it was similar to a nether portal. Usually in Minecraft, 10 or more obsidian and a rectangle shape when lit with a flint and steel creates a nether portal, which lets players travel to an alternate dimension. Players saw this construct in the Ancient Cities as a possible new portal. However, there wasn't a new dimension, and even when 1.19 fully released, there was no sign of anything relating to this portal. And then there's me, a random YouTuber who likes white stained glass paints who finally wants to solve the mystery of exactly what in the world this thing even is. Even 2 whole updates later, nobody knows exactly what this thing is and what it's here for. Theories have been made, but none confirmed nor denied by developers. It truly seems that this is an unsolved mystery. During a short period of time, a smaller part of the ancient city was a similar shape to the large construct, and it shortly had the name Small Portal Statue. Players assume that because these smaller structures were named portals, the larger structure must also be one. Right? Unfortunately, Mojang removed this title just days later. Even still, players strongly believe that even if it wasn't a portal now, someday it would be. Before I get into more about this, I will ask the main question of the video. What is this construct, and will it be updated in the future? Now, to answer question 1, I did some research in Minecraft. I noticed that beneath this big rectangle was a large amount of soul fire. There were also lots of candles around the area, and out of everywhere in the city, the portal seemed to be the least overrun with skulk, similar to some of the towers also found around the cities. Which leads me to another question. If the portal is clear of skulk, and so are the towers, the skulk most likely spread from the ground. And if that's so, was the skulk even put here intentionally? Well, probably not. A very classic theory built by the game theorists suggests that a group of ancient builders constructed most of these structures that you'll find throughout the game, which includes this one. Which makes sense, but then where did the skulk come from? Others believe that the Warden was built by the builders to protect them from the wither, but still, where did the skulk come from? I looked around and noted that all the skulk was sprouting from the ground, and almost none was on the higher walls or ceiling. There was a bit up there, but not covering the entire area like the ground. It was more or less just spreading up there. The skulk had kind of just appeared. Now I'm gonna tell you guys what I think. I do in fact believe this was a portal, but not one we can light. Why? Because the skulk had taken over. Let's go over this again. Where did the skulk come from? Well, I believe that way back, when the ancient builders built this city, they wanted to create the Warden to protect them. Unfortunately, the bone blocks and deep slate they had was not enough to create a living creature. They decided to try and reinforce this deep slate with these bone blocks, hoping to create a beast. No matter what they tried though, nothing would summon. They figured maybe somehow they could create a material that brought this deep slate to life. They spent countless months researching this construction, and finally, they built a portal in the center of the city, and it lit, just like a nether portal. The builders went in to find what they needed. On the other side, they found themselves in a cave full of dark blue substance that glowed and dimmed occasionally. They also found a catalyst of sorts that seemed to be connected in life in some sort of way. What was interesting is they found the same bone material all over these catalysts. The builders returned to the overworld. They were so amazed that they even tried to create smaller portal structures that would maybe move them around the dimension like the nether, but those smaller ones wouldn't light because they didn't have enough bone material. The builders constructed a new device out of this bone material and skulk, and called it the Skulk Shrieker. They knew exactly how to power it, a dangerous power they had used to summon the wither previously. They would need to use it for good. They added soul energy to the Skulk Shrieker, and it was able to summon the Warden. The soul energy is also supported by the fact that soul lanterns and fire can be found around the ancient cities. So yeah, the builders went into the Skulk dimension to gather and create the Warden. It's a portal, probably. However, that's just my theory, and if we want answers, we'll need to wait for an update. That's why I'm here to answer question 2. No, it won't. I believe this construct here will never become a functioning portal. Here's my 2 reasons. One of them is related to the actual game design, and the other is from a lore perspective. Reason 1 is that Mojang loves when people create lore on the games. They don't want to confirm whether it's a portal or not. This is why they renamed the small portal structure to something else very soon after it was added, because they didn't want to confirm nor deny that it even was a portal. They want us to create our own theories like I'm doing here. Reason 2 is less simple. It has to do with my theory once again. After the builders returned from the Skulk dimension and made the Warden, the combination of soul energy and Skulk was extremely dangerous. It made the Skulk become alive in maze more than a Warden. Similar to how fire works in real life, the Skulk would spread. It was a roaring beast without a single living fragment. It was living, but not alive. It would spread across the base of their ancient cities over time, and when the Warden realized this, it gained more power than ever controllable. The builders had to flee to the stronghold, but on their way out, they made sure to destroy the portal, so it wouldn't let more danger into the world. They made sure to get rid of any key element that would relight the portal in order to make sure that nobody ever lit it again. Not even you, the player. But at the end of the day, it's just a theory. Maybe in 1.22 Mojang will drop a bomb on us and release the Warden Dimension, absolutely ruining my theory here. I've got something else to answer. What if this isn't a portal? What could it be? It's possible the structure could be a recreation of the Warden's head. If you look closely at its facial features, you can see that they resemble the large construct in the city, and even the smaller portals dotted around. Another possible answer is that the structure is simply a monument. Maybe the builders had some sort of religious belief and they wanted to show their appreciation to the god with this monument. They were scared of the Wither and they needed a god to save them. But maybe not. It could be a portal or something I never even mentioned in this video, which is why I'd like your guys' feedback. So if you have the time, go comment down below an idea that you might have for this so I can make a better theory on what it may be, maybe in a separate video. So, what even is Skulk in the first place? Well, here's what I think. I believe Skulk was actually not existing object before. This is similar to how if you load up an April Fool's version of Minecraft, you can create an infinite number of dimensions which are strictly based on the book that you throw in the portal. So, when these builders made their reinforced deep slate with months of research, they were able to construct their own dimension. When entering, the universe spawned the new world literally just out of nowhere. This explains how it's an entirely alternate world, but still has the bone blocks inside of the Skulk catalysts. Now for the Skulk itself. It's most likely somewhat related to soul energy. Soul energy is Minecraft's special force that we can't exactly fathom ourselves. The Skulk seems to pulse with a blue tone, possibly being of soul energy. And if the builders didn't want to re-enter the nether to get soul items, maybe the soul lanterns and fire around the ancient city could have been made with Skulk. The Skulk is also extremely responsive to sound, letting out a literal electrical pulse when it hears something. This is very odd behavior, which is why it could definitely be soul energy that's causing its madness. The final question of this video is how the Warden itself was made. The builders obviously had to do something very, very special to create this beast. The Warden summoned with the Skulk Shrieker, but where did those come from? Well, let's first mention that the fact that the Skulk Shriekers don't actually spawn Wardens unless they are generated inside the ancient cities or modified with NBT data. I believe this is because these Shriekers have been mixed with the gases emitted by the soul energy that comes out of the portal they made. The Shriekers initially exposed to this radioactive energy were able to stay powered, creating a beast upon hearing 3 player sounds. But if you try to harvest and replace one, its disconnection from the Skulk that it originated in exhales all soul energy, stopping it from functioning. The Warden itself has bone-like arms and ribs, meaning that these bones made up of the Warden are definitely the same ones found in Skulk, Shriekers, or Catalysts. This bone material is probably the same one we found in Reinforced Deep Slate, or maybe in bone blocks in other dimensions. Wait, that's it. Bone blocks. Bone blocks generate where? Soul Sand Valleys. These bones themselves are full of soul energy. They aren't just any bones, they're bones enforced with a special force, capable of creating a device that when hearing 3 intruders' footsteps, alerts a demonic beast to dig itself out of the ground, murdering anyone who steps in its way. Here's a recap of my theory. After summoning the Wither, the ancient builders fled to the underground. They built these massive cities, but it was not even safe down there. They knew that one day the Wither would find them, and they needed to make a defense very quickly. The builders tried to create another creature like the Wither, using special bone material they found in the nether. Eventually, the builders had the idea to create another energy like soul energy, or at least find a new type of soul energy they could use for their project. The builders created a portal in the center of their cities. They traveled there and harvested these glowing skulk blocks that reeked of soul energy. They put together a device that, when alerted, could summon a beast to protect the builders. When combining the skulk and more soul energy, the Shrieker could be activating, causing Wardens to be on lookout. But then, the worst happened. the Warden realized it had more power than the builders could control. It started rebelling against them. More and more Wardens could be created, an infinite amount really. The Wardens slowly took over the ancient city, covering the world in smoke. The builders were forced to flee, but before that did, they destroyed any evidence of the portal functioning. Well, thanks for sticking around till the end. This is just my theory, and I'd love to hear your guys' in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free, and it really helps out with growing the channel. Plus, you can change your mind anytime. Let me know if you guys like this type of video, and leave a like to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.